Well, folks, that is what you call a sensational win. Miraculously, the Mets just defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks 2-1 in miraculous fashion. And just like this season, the Mets were down to their last out. 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the last pitch, and Francisco Alvarez hits a bomb to right center field, and just like that, the Mets are back in the game, and just like that, the Mets are right back into this 2023 season. They are right back in the pack right now. 6.5 games out right now is nothing. The Mets are playing with a sense of passion, with a sense of fire. They are on a 4-game win streak right now, and they are playing better now than at any point in the entire season. They're pitching better. They're hitting better. Their guys are coming up clutch. Francisco Alvarez, I can't say enough good things about the guy. Kodai Senga went 8 innings strong today, 12 strikeouts, only made 1 mistake to Christian Walker in the 7th inning. But other than that, the guy was phenomenal. Our rookie stepped up like nothing else. Of course, we do have some issues. We have a lot of issues. But for one night, I have to say we did amazing. That was a great game. That was probably the best game that I watched all year. I don't know about you. If you want to drop a comment about that, what was the best game you saw? That was the best game I saw. And if you're a Met fan, please hit the like button, subscribe if you feel like I do, and if you're an MLB fan and you appreciate good baseball, do the same, because we love good baseball here on this channel. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to cover the game. We're going to go over the entire game, analyze it, because it was one of the best games I've seen in a while. Okay, so today it was Senga versus Henry. And Henry for the Diamondbacks, I got to say, he looked really good. For the most better part of this game, it really looked like a pitcher's duel. It really did. And it was just going to be about who blinked first. And both offensive came off the bat stymied. I got to say, the Mets, they always struggle in the first inning. They never score any first inning runs, and they didn't let us down. This first inning, they went through 1, 2, 3. It was an easy top of the first inning for Arizona and Henry. And basically, the Arizona Diamondbacks did the same. They didn't really put too much pressure on Senga throughout the game. But in the first inning, Perdomo got on first base. Then Longoria came up second. He lined to Beatty. Corbin Carroll got a soft hit. And then luckily, Christian Walker came up in the bottom of the first inning, and Senga made a good pitch. He got Christian Walker to ground into a double play, so that ended the trouble in the first inning. We move on to the second inning. Alonso, he hit the ball to the shortstop. Marte smoked a ball to the opposite field. McNeil then popped the ball up. And this is what I want to bring up. At this point, Marte tried to advance, and he was called out at second base. So this happened in the top of the second inning, and I was a bit upset because I'm like, we're having trouble scoring. I know you're trying to get yourself in scoring position, but we don't really need that. So they went to review for the play, and it turns out that it looked like he was safe. It looked like he got his oven mitt on the end of the bag, but they still upheld the call and called him out. All right, so we move on to the bottom of the second inning, and that was pretty easy for Kodai. He struck out Gurriel, he struck out McCarty, and he got Kelly to ground out to Brett Beatty. Top three, we go to the top three, and Alvarez, he hits a nice, easy fly ball to right field. Beatty hits one to left. And then Kana, at this point in the game, he worked the count 3-2, and he eventually walked. And I have a note. So this is the top of the third inning, and this was the first guy who actually walked. He was the first guy who actually ran the count. He was the first guy to work the account. And I got to say, we have to fine-tune our approach. I've been saying this all year. We can't swing at first pitches. We have to work the count, especially when we're facing a dominant pitcher. The more pitches they throw, the better for us because we get them out of the game. Our approach has to change. So Kana, he had a good approach that time, and he got a walk. It turned out Nimmo, he swung and popped it up, but you know what? At least he made Henry work a bit. Okay, so moving on to the bottom of the third inning. Sanger pretty much went through the lineup. Ahmed hit the ball to Beatty, easy ground ball, threw it to first. Thomas 4-3, so hit the ball to McNeil, and Perdomo struck out. So at that point, at the end of the third inning, Kodai Sanger had retired 7 straight, and it looked like he was really on a roll. He was mixing up his pitches. The forkball was moving nicely. The fastball he had high in the zone. The slider and the curve, they were diving down to the outside corner. It looked like he had really guys off balance and had a good plan against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are a pretty good young hitting team. I like the Diamondbacks. They're exciting to watch. And, you know, I had this in my mind. It was a game of rookies. You have Kodai Sanger on the mound. You have Corbin Carroll, a phenomenal rookie sensation on the Diamondbacks. And then you have Francisco Alvarez on our team. So you have some of the best rookies of the entire year in this game. Okay, so let's move on to the top of the fourth inning. And this inning was probably the most eye-opening inning that I've had the entire year. But I say it's eye-opening, but when I really look at it, I'm not surprised. Okay, so the inning started off like this. Tommy Pham, the hot-hitting Tommy Pham, lines a single. He smoked a single to center field. And the next at batter, Lindor came up. He hit the ball to third base on the ground. They threw Lindor out. And Alonso came up next. He started working the account. I thought Alonso was going to do something good, but no, he pops the ball up to the catcher. So here's the situation. There's a guy on first, and there's 2 outs. Starling Marte comes up to the plate. So guy on first. That's very important. Guy is on first. There's 2 outs. Starling Marte comes up to the plate. It's only in the 4th inning. And they intentionally walk Starling Marte. They intentionally walk Starling Marte to face Jeff McNeil. I've never seen this before. In a 0-0 game, when there's a guy in first, you walk a guy and you essentially force the guy in first to go in scoring position. I've never ever seen that before. To face a former batting champion, it is insane, ridiculous. It just shows you right now how bad McNeil is struggling, right? And I'm like, okay, McNeil has been batting 5th for most of our games. So this is the kind of protection that you have for Pete. You have a guy who people really they don't mind facing him at all. They'd rather put a guy in scoring position to face this guy. So I'm like, all right, McNeil is bad. I've been killing McNeil. I've been crushing McNeil. The guy gets his contract, and this is probably this is his worst year of the season. He's batting close to 250. I don't get it. Do we have to offer him another car? Is this guy just all about the money? You give him his contract, you give him his car. Look at this, folks. We dangled a car in front of him last year. He won the batting title. He had a contract dangled in front of him. He did well. Do you have to dangle something in front of this man for him to be productive? Is he a professional or what? Because he doesn't look like a professional to me. So I was not surprised at all when they intentionally walked Marte to get to this man who has just basically been dribbling the ball all over the place. It is pathetic. And if you want to see something pathetic, go look at Baseball Savant, type in Jeff McNeil, and go see what comes up. Because it is the most pathetic Baseball Savant I've ever seen, his stats. Okay. All right, so let's go up to what happened. So is McNeil going to make him pay? And the thing was, there was a double steal too. So the runners advanced to second and third, and McNeil, what he did was he hits a soft dribbler to the second baseman. So 4-3. Does McNeil make him pay? Does McNeil make anybody pay? No. He goes, good job, Arizona Diamondbacks manager. You made the right decision. Make sure to do the same thing next time when I'm up. Okay, so that just got me upset in the middle of the game. Okay. So we'll move on to the bottom of the fourth, and thank God Senga was dealing. He struck out Longoria, struck out Corbin Carroll, walked Christian Walker, which is not a bad thing, and then he struck out Gurriel. So he struck out 3 guys, and what he was doing at this point in the game, especially when he struck out Carroll and when he struck out Gurriel, is he was going backwards. Essentially, he wasn't throwing the forkball as his strikeout pitch. He was starting that at-bat with his nasty ghost fork, his curveball, and then he would freeze the guys at the end of the strikeout with the fastball. I thought it was brilliant. It was such a brilliant performance by Kodai Senga. I cannot say it enough. Like 12 strikeouts in 8 innings. I haven't seen a performance like that since probably DeGrom last year. Really, if you think about it. Okay, so let's move on. And we move on to the top of the 5th. And this was probably the Mets' best chance to score besides later in the game. Okay, so in the top of the 5th inning, Alvarez made a quick out. And I have a note here how he kept swinging at first pitches. I want him to be more patient. And we all got to see what happens when Alvarez is more patient. Okay, preview for whatever we know what happens already. So in the 5th inning, Beatty gets on with a walk. Canna gets on with a walk. So Nimmo comes up with 1 out and 2 men on. And I'm like, perfect. Top of the lineup. Nimmo's up. We're in good shape. So Nimmo just gets a nice soft pop-up to the third baseman. Now we have 2 outs. And still, we have a good shot. 2 men on for Tommy Pham. And Tommy Pham, like he's always been doing, he smokes a ball to third base. But unfortunately, that ended the inning. Okay. So we'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And this features McNeil once again. The star of our show in a negative way. So Senga went to the 5th inning, the bottom of the 5th inning, with only 55 pitches. So he kept his pitch count at a very low point. So he's facing McCarthy, and McCarthy hits the ball on the ground. Of course, he hits it toward McNeil. McNeil gets a glove on it, but he can't make the play. I feel he should have made the play. The scorers gave McCarthy a hit, but still, if McNeil is not hitting, he's got to be able to play at an elite level, and he's not even doing that. So I was very disappointed with that. McCarthy gets on base. He steals second base. Kelly comes up next, strikes out. Ahmed comes up next, strikes out. And Thomas actually put a really good bat on the ball. He hits it deep to right center field, and Nimmo made a great play going back at it. Or else that would have put points on the board right there. So that was a great play by Brandon Nimmo. Okay. All right, so we're going to fast forward. Not much really happened there. I mean, Senga was just befuddling hitters throughout the game. You kept hearing Gary and Keith. They were raving about Senga, and I mean, you really couldn't blame them. Senga just looked so masterful throughout his performance. He was switching gears and working the top part of the strike zone, the bottom part of the strike zone. I mean, think about this. He throws a 98 mile per hour at the top of the strike zone, and then he throws his fork ball that looks like it's coming from the same plane, and then it dives down, bottom out. I mean, it just looks so nasty, the pitches that Senga is throwing right now. It's really crazy. So this was his best pitching performance of the entire year. And we're going to move on to let's move on to the bottom of the 7th inning. That's when we have our first run scored. And this is basically Senga's only mistake. In the bottom of the 7th inning, he comes up against Christian Walker, and he knew it. He threw the pitch, and it was right over the middle of the plate. Christian Walker tattoos it deep to left center field, hits it about 440 feet, and it was essentially the only mistake. Senga immediately turns around oh my God, now my team has to score a run. Actually, they have to score 2 runs for me to win. So you could really feel it, but I give Senga a lot of credit. He put his head down. The next guy, he got Gurriel to ground out to Beatty, and then McCarthy comes up. He strikes him out. Carson Kelly comes up. He strikes him out. And you got 12 strikeouts right there. All right, so I'm like, hopefully the Mets will pick this guy up. This guy just let up one run. Hopefully the Mets in the top of the 8th inning, they respond. All right, so let's see what happens. Nimmo was leading off, and he grounds it out to the first baseman. First baseman runs to first base. Nimmo's out, 1 out. Pham comes up. He hits the this at bat, he didn't hit the ball. He actually worked the count, and he walked. So not bad. He 1 out. One guy gets on base. Lindor is up right now, and Lindor pops the ball up. He pops it up to left field. So Alonso comes up, and he strikes out to end the inning. And I'm getting very disappointed in Alonso because, I've been making videos in the last day or so, and I've been saying clapping hands. Alonso's been hitting the ball hard, and, he's doing good after he was selected to the All-Star game. But you know what? Alonso's supposed to be our superstar. He is supposed to be the feared guy in the lineup that, is supposed to come through in these situations. Like, I always go back years ago to, Piazza and, how he used to be good in clutch situations where we have another young catcher who's showing to be clutch. But Alonso's not coming through. I'm just getting very disappointed and disgusted in Alonso. I've hoped so much more, and he does have a contract coming in a year and a half. Like, is he going to have a breakout season, hit 300 next year, 280 next year? Like, we need it right now. I'm hoping Pete comes on very soon. Okay, so bottom of the 8th inning, nothing really happened. The main action comes down to the top of the 9th inning. Andrew Chafin comes in from the bullpen, and this is where it gets exciting. This is where it gets interesting. Andrew Chafin is a very good left-handed pitcher and a relief pitcher. He was actually a pitcher that the Mets and Met fans really wanted the Mets to pursue. The Mets chose not to. Thus, he's on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the inning starts off like this. Marte grounds the ball to second base. Second baseman throws it to the first baseman, 1 out. Now McNeil comes up. We already know it's going to be an easy 2 outs, but we got to go through the motions. And McNeil didn't even work the count. I believe he swung at the first or the second pitch, and he flied an easy fly ball to left center field. So now we have 2 outs, and we have the young Francisco Alvarez. And I really got to say, I had him and Corbin Carroll. And right now, Francisco Alvarez, he is super clutch. They had some type of crazy statistic where after the 7th inning, Alvarez has 5 come from behind hits or something like that. Some type of crazy clutch stat like that. And he was leading the majors in that category. I was like, wow, the guy didn't even start the season. He came in the 3rd week of April. And he already has 15 home runs, 30 RBIs, batting at the end of the lineup. This is our 5th hitter, batting in the end of the lineup. I don't understand it, Buck. Buck, put him in the 5th position. What do you have to see? Come on. Okay, so let's go through the at-bat right now. So it was a little difficult at bat. If you notice, he almost struck out. The catcher dropped the ball. There was actually a call during the middle of the at-bat that Alvarez didn't like. He called a timeout. He collected himself. He relaxed. And he was able, 2 pitches later, to line a ball over the right center field wall with 2 outs, 2 strikes. And the guy, he slowed everything down. It didn't matter what was going on. Normally, I was expecting to go crazy. I was expecting to be like, what the heck happened? We were on a 3-game winning streak. Kodai Senga had a gem. We wasted it. But thank God for Francisco Alvarez because he wouldn't let Kodai Senga's gem go to waste. He hits that home run. Now it's 1-1. Brett Beatty comes up next. He singles through the hole on the right side of the field. Kana ropes a ball in right center field in Triple's alley. He gets a triple. The game is 2-1 right now. And we took the lead. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. And what was really funny is Alvarez was getting his stuff on and he was getting his catcher's equipment on. And I don't know if it was Gary or Keith said, "Oh, look at this! Lindor is telling Alvarez, get your head in the game." I'm like, what the heck? Lindor's done nothing this game. This kid just literally pulled us out of dying out of a loss. And you're saying Francisco Lindor's telling him to get his head in the game? It should be the other way around. Yeah, sometimes respect is given to these veteran players that I'll never understand. I will never understand. You have these young rookies carrying the whole squad, and then in the middle of the game, they'll shoot to a veteran, like talking to the guy like, "Oh my God, thank God for that veteran speaking those words of wisdom, or else the young kid wouldn't be able to do what he's doing." No, Francisco Alvarez, he's got all the talent in the world. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't need Lindor. Okay, so the bottom of the ninth inning, I would say went pretty well. Robertson came in and shut the door, and that was it. It was one of the best wins of our entire season, I gotta say. This puts us on a 4-game winning streak right now. I'm gonna double check right now to see the standings, but I believe we're only 6.5 games out of the wild card as we speak, which is insane because as I did in a video earlier, we were 10.5 games out on Friday, which is like 4 or 5 days ago. So for us to only be 6.5 games out, that's insane right now. That is insane. That's a credit to the Mets, but it also just shows you that there's a bunch of crappy teams in front of us. And as bad as the Mets are, the teams in front of us aren't that much better. They're really not. Okay, so yes, the updated standings are you have the New York Mets 6.5 games behind the last wild card position. Then you have Pittsburgh, so that would be the first team to jump over. They're 6 games back. Then you have the Cubs are 6 games back. And then you have San Diego. They're 6 games back. So you have 3 teams that are like half a game in front of us. So once you jump those teams, all you have is Milwaukee and San Francisco, essentially. So I would not give up. What I said in a video earlier, you evaluate the situation in 10 days. You see where you are in July 15th. If the Mets win a whole bunch of games between now and then it's a whole different ball game. Then we got to assume we're not 6.5 games out. We'll probably be like 3 or 4 games out. And then if you're only 3 or 4 games out of a wild card spot, then it's negligence, especially since the Mets have spent so much money to give up on a season. So that wouldn't even be an option. So all I could say right now is our pitchers are pitching to a higher level, and go back and watch the video that I did at 2022 versus 2023 because there's a lot of key statistics that we dominated in, both in hitting and pitching, that we were lagging in the beginning of 2023, but we've come on as of late. Now it's all about pitching. If Senga, if Verlander, and if Scherzer can pitch at a high level, that elevates this team to a whole different stratosphere that takes less stress off the bullpen. And if Steve Cohen is going to fill that Edwin Diaz hole, whether it's going to be a collective effort, if you get a whole bunch of guys in here, I don't care how you fill the Diaz hole, there was a hole in there. And if the starters are going deep, you have Peterson pitching better, you're going to have Quintana coming back. And if those 3 guys that I just mentioned pitch to their high level, we could go on a huge run. We're not anywhere close to the Atlanta Braves right now. It's little step. We have to get better incrementally, and then we'll see where we are. And I've been hearing a lot of things about Shohei Ohtani. I kind of went through the pending free agent bats because I still think we need another bat. I didn't really see anybody out there. I specifically was looking for a lefty. Carlos Santana was like one of the only, I guess, lefties. I think he's a switch hitter, but he's 37. He used to be a high on base guy, but I don't think he would be much of an improvement. Another guy who could be an addition is Brian Reynolds, but Pittsburgh is going to want a lot, and I don't think that he would really fulfill a need. He's a center fielder, and I just don't think he's a fit on the Mets. So, all in all, I got to say I'm very pleased with this win tonight, and we are going the right direction. And if you stuck around this long, you are the best. You really are. I can't say enough. Please like, please subscribe. We love our Mets. Right now, it's, probably you're going to be watching this. I'm doing this. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know when you're watching it, but thank you so much for watching it. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you. Like I always say, it can't get any worse, but it probably will. It's not right now. We're on a 4-game winning streak. Let's go, Mets.